Murph Griff here. How are you?
Griff, thanks for having me on.
Man, unbelievable. I know you never doubt, but certainly this year, as you said, this was kind of the year where you thought, I'm not sure we're hitting on all cylinders as we should. As far as putting it all together, how close did you come this weekend?
Pretty close, to be honest with you. Osorio was the old Osorio, our senior pitcher, and one of our radio guys came up to me and said, "Do you know her stats for regionals?" And I said, "No." And the run against Wisconsin was the first earned run she'd given up in her regional career, and it's just unbelievable. She has, when the spotlight is on, she is at her best, and literally she gave up one earned run in her entire career at Alabama during regional play, and that's absolutely why we've won 37 straight games at home, because we've had an All-American pitcher since 2005 every single year.
Yeah.
And the name of the game is fast pitch. It's not fast hit or fast defense, fast pitch. And if you have somebody in the circle that can dominate, you're gonna be able to advance. And thank goodness we've had one year after year after year.
Note to self, it's called fast pitch.
Yes, sir.
I like that. I mean, let's not overcomplicate it at all.
Exactly.
Look, this thing could have gone either way. As you know, you're sitting there in a rain delay, and you're throwing her. You know she's experienced. But even then, it's an unknown of sitting there 3 hours. So what do you do? I mean, do you let them loose? Do they play video games? They just do whatever, play on their phone?
Well,
how do you handle that?
We actually have 3 TVs in the clubhouse, training room, locker room, and then where the kids kind of congregate. So all 3 TVs had softball on. So they either lounged in the locker room. Some of them were taking naps on a couch. Some of them played Gatorade bottle bowling in the hallway. Sunday was the worst because, we literally, the national anthem played. They were getting ready to announce our lineup, and I was in the dugout bathroom, and I heard "sorry," and then I was like, "Oh no!" And they cleared the field for lightning, and it was just the weirdest storms both days because the weather never goes that way. It was almost like coming down from Mississippi and then just kind of circling. And we just, you can't take a chance with, 2,000 people and all the players on the field. You just can't do that. So, they shoved us off the field, and it just kept coming and coming. And the old lightning strike rule with when an athletic event, you have to start the clock 30 minutes if you get another strike. So it just kept going, and then finally we got to restart about 4:30. But going through my mind is, we're going to lose our crowd. We're going to lose our home field advantage. Our players are going to be like, are we really going to play? And I thought we might lose our edge a little bit, but it was the exact opposite. We came out and scored 2 runs immediately. First 2 got on, had a good sacrifice, and then Bailey Hemphill does what she's been doing for 3 weeks and drove a ball to the wall for 2 runs. And then Osorio, I think that just energized her, and it was the old Alexis on the mound. So it was a great regional for us.
So is it a deal where the maturity of the team is how you handle it, or do you have cookie cutter A, B, C way to handle that, or you know what I mean?
Dude, it's more them. I'm nervous as hell, and I'm upset. I'm yelling at people, and like you and I would. But the players,
right.
When they grow up, they play summer ball, and they leave the house at 6 a.m. for a game at 8, and they're there at the park till midnight, and there's some downtime, and so they're used to it. This is absolutely the sport of summer softball, travel league, and they handle it much better than I do.
Yeah, and as you know, I coached a girl that was a really good athlete, and my daughter is what I mean, in basketball and softball. And you have to learn that. For folks listening in that are unfamiliar, girls are different. They will run through a wall for you. They'll be as serious as you can. But then they'll also put their hat on backwards and make those crazy cheers at the softball dugout and be laughing during the game when somebody makes a crazy catch or does something funny. People have to get used to that. That's just a female mentality, as you know, getting used to this. So if they're playing bowling and Gatorade in the hallway, I don't want people to think they weren't serious. That's just girl.
Yeah, and it's competitive, though, too. So they have fun, but they want to win. And, the biggest lesson I learned with that was Jackie Traina, who was probably the greatest pitcher we've ever had and led us to a national championship. But her freshman year, she came in against Stanford in Super Regionals. And I can remember standing in front of the dugout and just screaming, you got this, Jackie. And I thought I was motivating the hell out of her. And Amanda Locke, who was a senior that year, I got back in the dugout and she kind of tapped me on the shoulder and she said, "Don't do that. That doesn't help her." And I looked at her, I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "No, Jackie doesn't do that." And Jackie was, you for her, it would be like go out to the huddle and tell her a joke. And, people would be upset when she'd give up a home run because she'd turn around and smile. But that was just her coping, and that was her personality. And, I learned with her right away that, like, there was a game where she hit a home run, and there was some crowd, kind of chattering against me that day. And she comes around third base, and she slaps my high five, and she said, "Murph, that's for you. I got your back." And it's just like, you just love the kid. And we've had a lot of kids like that I think a lot of females internalize competition. They don't outwardly show it like guys that, scream and yell. But inside, man, they're just competitive as all be. And, Kayla Hunt, Kayla Bro was like that. Haley McClendon, you saw it a little bit more outwardly. But you're right, they'll run through a wall for you.
Yeah, that's the thing, and most of them will. It's very rare you see one that don't when you get to that level. I'm curious as to the potential of this team. You know it better than anybody. Are you there? Are you close? Is there still enough in the tank here to get to the College World Series, in your opinion?
I think so. And, years ago I was on a flight from L.A. to Birmingham, and luckily I sat next to this older lady that was a human resources for a big company, and it was organizational behavior. That was she was the expert in. And I told her that I was a softball coach, and we literally talked for 5 hours. It was one of the best plane rides and most beneficial I've ever been on. But she told me that there was 4 stages to team building in a corporation, a team, or a family. And it was forming. You get to know each other and you form the team. Storming, which is all hell could break loose. Somebody figures out that they don't like something about somebody. The boss pisses you off somehow. Norming, which is, okay, that's the way he is. This is what I need to do. We're okay. But the 4th stage is the most important, is performing. And every single team that I've had, and that was probably 15 years ago, goes through all 4 of those stages at some point. And the storming part of it, it could last 4 months. But at the very end, you want your team to be performing when it matters the most. And I think we have, obviously, for 14 straight years, because we're in another Super Regional. And I tell the team, and if you ask any member of my team, they could recite to you what the 4 stages of team building are, because we've gone over it so many times. And they know that, and the storming part of softball or baseball would be the whole team goes into a slump at one point. And it happens every year. I mean, I don't care how good a hitting team you have. 1 through 9, it's going to look like a damn ping pong ball when somebody pitches to them. And you just hope that your pitchers and your defense are on point and to get you out of this little slump. And it usually takes 3 to 4 games. But then after that, it's like, I can't believe we were like that. But it happens every single year. But those 4 stages helps a team or a business or an organization learn how to grow. And we always want to be playing our best at the end.
And you usually are, and that is the sign of a good coach. I remember talking to Sarah Patterson years ago when I was at Channel 33 there, back when it was 33 in Tuscaloosa, and she was the master of getting teams to peak at the right time. And that's what it's about in the sports you have, that you play well, but really it is about getting there. And then when you do get there, making sure you're peaking at the right time. And I think that's way harder than most people think. Football's a little different, and that's what everybody focuses on and thinks about because every game's huge. But in these kind of things, as you said, there's inevitably a slump. How does Pat Murphy handle that slump? How does he get his team to handle that slump? These are things we don't think about because we relate everything to football and the importance of 12 games. It's different.
Yes. And, our schedule is 56. So imagine trying to get up or motivated for 56 games instead of, 12 to 14. And it is tough. Now, obviously, we have more players. We have, I have 3 pitchers. I think Coach Bohannon probably had 14 pitchers on his staff. And you get to spread the wealth, and everybody gets to contribute. But it's a long season. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. And, I try to use everybody on the roster. I tell everybody at the very first team meeting, I point to everybody and you will win us a game this year. You will have an opportunity. You will win a game, whether it's a starting role, pinch hitter, pinch runner, coming in on defense, something. And everybody on this year's team, all 19, has won a game for us. But the key is to be ready for your opportunity, because if you're not ready for the opportunity, then you're probably not going to do what I need you to do. And, it goes back to all the way back to 2009 when Jazz Lunsford pinch hit for Brittany Rogers in the World Series. And 2 strikes, 2 outs, bases loaded. And the freshman from Northport, she hits an opposite field grand slam. But she was ready for her opportunity. So we keep reminding them over and over who's going to be this year's Jazz. Because somebody's going to have to come in probably and pinch hit for somebody in a big role, but you have to be ready for it. So this group is, prepared. They've worked their butts off. There's been no Debbie the Downers. We've had really good team chemistry. Everybody's accepted their role. But the bigger part of that is everybody around them has appreciated the role that they play. Because if people don't appreciate the role that they play, then the kid is like, why am I here? And that's the key for a coaching staff too, is to make sure that everybody feels needed, wanted, but most of all appreciated. All
right, the regionals out west, it starts Friday, right? So you're going to have to leave probably Wednesday?
Yep, 6:00 Washington time. We were already out there in February, early March. We have a young lady from Seattle, and we went out there for her we do home visits.
Right.
And so we played there, which is, I think, a big help for us. We didn't play very well, but I think it's going to help us that way too. And they were on a roll. They were 28-0, I think, and number 1, and they were undefeated in their non-conference season. So I think we're a much different team. I think they're a different team. We'll leave Wednesday afternoon. We get to practice at their field again on Thursday, and then the game starts Friday night.